Spooky season is upon us. It is almost Halloween, and I have finished my Aldi crochet kit, and I have some thoughts that I would like to share with you, so stick around and I will give you a full detailed review of this budget kit. So I call it a budget kit because it was $4.99 at my Aldi here in the United States, and I have to say there are some really good things about it, and there are some not so good things about it. And if you want to see the ghost finished, stay tuned till the end. I did an unboxing, and you can catch that video. I will link it here or link it at the end so you can go see it if you have not watched that unboxing. So crochet kits have been a thing for Aldi for at least 2 years. I got a pumpkin last year that I never did. And then I got an animal set. I think it had like a kangaroo and a frog or a turtle or something. And then I got this one right before I bought this. So this is next. I will be reviewing this one as well. And like I said, there were things about it I really liked. When I unboxed it, the first thing that caught my attention was this hook. For a beginner crochet kit, I have to say this is probably one of the best hooks that I have encountered. The Woobles had a really nice hook. I'm pointing to Lizzie over here. That one had a really nice hook, a nice metal hook. This is also metal. It's very smooth. The hook here itself does have a little bit of a point on it, and I'll talk about that, what it caused a little bit later. But overall, it's really smooth, nice rubber grip. For the size, it's a 2.5 millimeter, so it's a small hook. I say for my hand, it was nearly perfect. I said this was similar to the Joann's. When Joann's was around, they had a nice rubber handled hook that I had purchased in probably this size that I really did like, and it was very similar to that. Now, I did do the entire ghost and hat and everything with this hook. And that's saying a lot, because usually when I do these, like when I've done the Dollar Tree hooks, and I did the Hobby Lobby, I didn't do this one on my channel last year, but I did do the Hobby Lobby's gingerbread man last year. I had to switch hooks because they were flimsy plastic and just were atrocious to work with. I did use the Wooble hook almost entirely on Lizzie. The only reason I switched out on that one was because I didn't like the yarn, and you can watch my review of that if you haven't already. I didn't like the yarn, the Wooble's yarn, so I was trying to see if the hook made a difference, and I still hated the yarn. I did not. I do have 2.5 millimeter hooks, and I believe they're similar to this, so I didn't even bother changing this out because this thing worked the entire way. It was in there for the long haul. So for the hook, I would give it a 5 out of 5. Let's say a 5 out of 5. Definitely the hook worked well. It's really great for a beginner because there wasn't anything that was overtly wrong with it. I would say this is, of the kits that I have had, one of the most, probably the best, next to the Woobles hook. So, hook, they did an amazing job. Now, if you watched the unboxing, I was extremely excited about the yarn. Extremely excited about this yarn. It was very soft, very nice, had a good, felt like, it has a good hand feel to it. It's not scratchy. It's not like really the old school Red Heart yarn that's just disgustingly scratchy. It's not like a lot of the cheap kit yarns. It was just, today I will say it felt wonderful. It felt like amigurumi yarn. It was very kin to this, the yarn I used for this, which was amigurumi yarn. And I was kind of over the moon when I got it. Then I worked with it. And I have some video like while I was working on it here. I'll add that here. What, as you can see, it split a lot. This split like cotton yarn. Some of the cotton yarns I've worked with that just tend to split a lot, it tended to almost like lose its twist, I would say, in some instances. And then the hook, when I said I was going to talk a little bit about the point on this hook, that has a very it has a sharp, you really probably can't see that, it has a sharp point to the hook, and it snagged it quite, look, it's doing it right now. See, it just would split. This yarn just split horribly. See how it's doing that? And this hook would often get caught up in there like that. See, it would do that a lot. So as much as I really like the texture and the feel of this yarn, it did have problems. It would split, and you would, pulling through a loop, a lot of times I would get it in through there, and then as I pulled it through, that the hook would catch it and it would pull only a portion of it out. So that became somewhat frustrating working on the body of the ghost. So as much as I wanted to love this yarn, I ended up not liking it as much as I thought I was going to. So I would probably give the yarn maybe a 3 out of 5. It has a good texture, good hand feel. It didn't make my hands itchy, achy, scratchy, but it wasn't easy to get through. And if this is a beginner kit, and it doesn't say if it's a beginner kit or not, but I'm just thinking if someone who's not experienced with different types of yarns, especially ones that tend to split like cotton yarns, might not take their time to do it right, and they might pull through and not get all of the yarn through, or just have some issues. So that was my major beef with this thing, was the yarn. Now, the pattern itself, it comes in this nice little booklet. It gives you everything that's included. It does tell you the 2 things that are not included are scissors and a measuring tape. I will have to tell you that I never used measuring tape or a ruler. I don't know why that was listed. But to me, the most important thing that wasn't included was a stitch marker. I think generally that's where these kits tend to fail. Other than the Woobles, I have never seen a stitch marker included in any kit at all that I have personally purchased or used. So that bothers me, because it was interesting, because later on in the instructions, it gives pro tip right here. It says pro tip: attach a safety pin or lay a small scrap of string of another color across the stitches to mark the beginning and ending of each round. So obviously they know the importance of it, yet they didn't include it. Okay. Diatribe over. The other problem I had with this pattern was the first step of the ghost's body and the first step of the ghost's base. They call it the base, but it's basically the under part of the ghost, and I'll show you here in a minute what I'm talking about. So round 1 is to do a magic loop. They call it a magic loop, magic circle, with 6 stitches. And it does show you how to do a magic loop. So with 6 stitches, okay? Pretty typical. A lot of them start with 4, 6, 8, around in there. And then round 2 is to work 1 stitch into each round. So you'd have 6 again. Then round 3 is to increase and have 12. Pretty typical. However, usually most patterns that I work with that are round, the first stitch, the 6, you do the 6 in the magic loop, and then round 2 would be the increase, or the round in this case, round 2 would be starting the increases. So your second round would be, you either increase every other one, you get to 6 or you get to 8. So doing it that way, so here's the ghost. Left a kind of a pop knot on the body. And I thought, okay, well, maybe that's how it wants the ghost to look, because there's no actual picture of the ghost without, I won't say her hat on because it's a witch's hat. And there's no actual picture in the, actually there is one right here. You can't see it, but it looks quite round. The head looks quite round in that photo there. So when I did it the way they said, like I said, I got this little, I was calling it a Dairy Queen, or it's a nipple, if you want to go in that direction. So I was like, okay, well, maybe it was just, you know, maybe I didn't do it right. Well, then in the second one on the bottom, you did the exact same thing to make the bottom. And again, it came out with the same problem. It had the same thing. It said, do 6, then do another 6, and then do 12. And if it were me, I would have done probably an increase, one single crochet, an increase, and then another single crochet, an increase, and another. So it would have been what, 8 or yeah, something like that. Math is not. I'm not mathing. So that was an issue. Now on the hat, it was fine because the hat was going to be pointy anyway, so that didn't matter as much. But for the head, I really didn't care to do it that way. Had I realized that it was going to do that, I probably would have went ahead and done a round head like it should have been. Now, I don't know, maybe I misread the pattern. But from the way I would interpret it, it says round 1 with the main collar, work 6 single crochets into a magic loop. Pull yarn tail, tighten, join with a slip stitch. Okay, you should have 6 stitches. Round 2, work 1 single crochet in each single, work 1 single crochet in each single round. You should have 6. And then round 3 is work 1 increase into each single crochet. You should have 12. So that to me was what created this bump, this knot. And that, I'm not a fan of the way the head is. That was really the only complaint I had with this pattern. The pattern was well written. It was pretty straightforward, and it was easy to work with. It was simple. It didn't have a lot of instructions with it. Like the ghost body has no photos. The ghost base had a few photos, but you can kind of see on this one where it does have that little indentation, the little nipple. So I guess that's what they had intended for it, how it to happen. Now, the arms were just, you just did basically a chain stitch and then up and back, and then you loop them around onto the body. And then the eyes for this one, it did not have safety eyes. It actually had crochet eyes, which I sort of really enjoyed doing them that way. However, on the eyes and on the arms, there were no placements. So it didn't say at round whatever, put the arm on. Now on the base, it did tell you to, it told you to put a marker. It didn't say stitch marker, but a marker so that you would know where to attach these, the base. So what you ended up doing was you just made basically a tube with a fluttered bottom, and then you stuff it, and then you put this on top of it and sew that around, and so now you have a base. So there is our ghost. Now The other thing is the hat. The hat was easy to make. Pretty straightforward. But the assembly, step 6 on this, is to stuff the ghost with the polyfill until desired firmness. Attach base to the ghost by sewing it into round 35, where it should be the scrap of yarn or safety pin as a stitch marker. Then use the sewing needle to attach the ghost's arms, eyes, and hat. Use the pink for a small mouth. Hide any loose threads inside the ghost body. And that was it. So it, it just basically says attach the hat. So I haven't done that yet. And then on the picture, of course, it's kind of at a little jaunty angle there. So you would have to, that's where this was, it was bothering me because of that. Because now I can't really get it at the angle I wanted it to get it at. But I'm going to attach that. But there like I said, I'm calling it a she because it's got a little witch's hat. So there she is. I think she's adorable. Pretty good size too. Let's see. She's at like 5, not quite 5.5 inches. So that's how tall she is. Now with the hat, she's gonna be a little taller. But yeah, overall, I would recommend the kit. I would give it, like I said, I gave the yarn about a 3 out of 5. The pattern maybe a 4 out of 5 because I would have changed the whole thing with the other this part. I would have changed that. And then the hook was the best thing out of the whole kit and caboodle. That was the best. Give that a 5 out of 5. So what is that? 5, 4, and 3. So that's 9. That's 12. A 12 out of 15. That's not bad. 12 out of 15 is not bad. I would definitely recommend this. It's for $5. It was really, I think it was worth it for $5. As you can see, I didn't get the arms on the same. I didn't line them up quite correct. But yeah, for $5, if you're at least, I wouldn't say this was a beginner project because again, there were some things in you had to do. Probably an advanced beginner if you know how to obviously single crochet, increase and decrease, work with sewing and attaching things because you had to do that, and working with small sizes. It's not, definitely not a plushie kind of thing. So, but yeah, I like her. I think I would buy another one of their kits if they have another one next year. If they have a Christmas one, definitely would buy. So I would recommend getting one of these if you can find them, if they're still around, if they're after Halloween, and you can maybe get it at a discounted price, definitely get one. I think if I see one after Halloween, I may buy another one. I really like her.